want to be a degenerate squid? Do you want to go fast on exotic machinery, but you're short on the dollars? Well, producer Logan has discovered 5 incredible exotic bikes you can go and get for not a whole lot of money, right?
Right. So yeah, my thinking is, you know, in this economy, what's the point in going with like a kind of boilerplate, reliable, you know, milquetoast Japanese bike? I mean, what's the deal?
There's no reason for that other than maintenance and general sensibility.
Whoa. I got a whole script written.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, Logan, enough beating around the bush. What's the first bike?
Sure. First up on the list today, we got the Moto Guzzi V11 Sport.
Oh, a sport-going Guzzi, huh?
Yeah, you might be thinking Guzzi, not the most, you know, performance-oriented machines, but they've got a little bit of, you know, sporty pedigree in their tenure. And I think the V11 Sport sort of encapsulates a lot of that in a relatively modern machine.
Yeah, I mean, $5,400 for this thing. It's sold. It has the acid green paint job, which I love. There were so many bikes in the early 2000s that did that. Slime time. Counterpoint with the red bracket on the frame and then the side of the engine. The fork going through the front cowl. This is pretty exotic.
Yeah, so the V11 Sport's interesting because it was one of the first bikes that was built by Moto Guzzi after they were acquired by Aprilia. Oh. So it sort of takes that like old world Guzzi charm, longitudinal V-twin, and sort of like ramps it up to like modern componentry, modern performance. So yeah, like I said, we got a 1064cc air-cooled longitudinal V-twin. Got those jugs sticking right out the side of the frame.
Whoa, this is family-friendly show. Don't talk about jugs sticking out of the frame.
We got the head.
Keep those jugs covered.
And that engine's going to be good for 90 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque. You might not be thinking that 90 horsepower is the most powerful motorcycle out there, but you know, with the right attitude, the right expectations, I think you can have a great time, you know?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, that kind of similar to Ducati 1100 numbers. It's enough power to have fun with, torquey, and I think with the Guzzi slap effect and the general green paint job for $5,400, that's a lot of exotic bike for not a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of exotic bike. And like I said, yeah, $5,500 and relatively modern 6-speed gearbox, Brembo brakes, adjustable suspension, shaft drive, so like low maintenance. You don't see a lot of sport bikes with final shaft drives, but we got that here on the Guzzi.
Yeah, I think the Guzzi is a cool find. All right, Logan, what's up next?
All right, so up next, we've got the Benelli TNT 1130. You might think of Benelli as being exotic in different ways, you know, maybe some sort of Chinese PSYOP, QJ Motors type of thing. That's exotic in its own right, sure. But, you know, in the 90s, 2000s, Benelli was doing some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, let me take a look.
So, TNT, that stands for Tornado Naked Tray. And that's not a skateboarding trick. That's the name of this motorcycle. And as the name implies, Trey, we got a 3-cylinder in there, big stonking 3-cylinder.
Yeah.
It looks, from my rudimentary knowledge, I'm sure you can expand on this a lot for the audience, it looks like it's taken a couple plays out of Triumph's playbook here, no?
You know, Logan, I'm not going to lie. This is basically like an Italian speed triple. I mean, even down to the frame with the double tube style thing. The motor itself, but it features a couple mismatches. It has an undertail exhaust, which is almost like CBR 600-esque, even though a lot of bikes did undertail exhaust. And another green bike. What is with you in the green? Is that your barometer for exotica? Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah, I mean, it just, green exudes, that kind of 2000s flavor. And for better or worse, like exotic bikes that are relatively affordable now typically stem from the 2000s. So we got ourselves a handful of green bikes.
Well, Logan, 2 things to say about that. Sure. Number 1, you're going to make all the Kawasaki simps out there super happy to hear that. Because green bikes, they're going to say, wow, my bike's exotic. It's not. Don't think your Versys 650 from the mid-2000s, it's green, it's exotic. It's not. I don't want to hear it. Second of all, the key is pretty exotic on this thing. Look at that.
Yeah, it almost looks like a piece of like weaponry or something.
But it's a switchblade or something. It leads into the edgy nature of the tray.
I got a joke for you. It's a corkscrew. For wine, because it's an Italian bike.
Wow. Don't drink and ride.
Don't drink and ride, but...
so basically an Italian speed triple, big stonking 3-cylinder. I like it.
Yep, 135 horsepower, similar to the Guzzi, kind of has that combination of like the kind of raw analog feel with like a little bit of a somewhat modern package. 20 some years old, but still, $5,500, $5,000. That's a whole lot of motorcycle.
That's a lot of bike for the money. And again, we are throwing caution to the wind. We know that these bikes are not going to be very reliable. We're just finding cool exotic bikes for not a lot of money. Logan, What's next?
All right, up next, we've got, actually, this one probably won't need as much explanation. It's a little bit more common knowledge motorcycle. We've got the first gen Aprilia Tuono V4.
Those have come down that much, huh?
Those have come down that much. You know, the 1100s still hold their value pretty well, but that first gen V4 with like the 1000cc engine, I've seen them sub $6,000.
Wow.
In running condition, and I've seen some currently listed for closer to 8,000. That's a whole lot of motorcycle for 8,000 bucks. That's like brand new Ninja 500 out the door price.
Yeah, that's a lot of bike for the money, and yeah, that mellifluous aural sensations of the V4, that's going to be a really fun time.
Sure, and again, this one's a lot more familiar to you, I'm sure, than the Benelli or the Guzzi, but
oh yeah,
just a quick gander.
Honestly, these have aged very well. You know, you think of a 10-year-old Aprilia, and you're like, well, it's not going to be, you know, it's not quite as up to snuff.
Almost 15 years old.
50, you're right. I'm living in 2010, apparently, 2020. It's 2025. The front end of it, a little dated, but the frame functionally is the same as it always was. This frame still looks basically the same as what they're doing now. Swing arm's a little different. They updated it over the years. But again, the spicy V4 soundtrack and a yellow bike. I see a theme here with you. It's yellow or green. Yeah. That's Exotica. I understand.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, derived from Aprilia racing technology, whole lot of chops for the street.
Well, like 160 horsepower?
Yeah, so we got 167 horsepower, you know, got the frame, got the brakes, got the suspension. Something that's interesting about this bike that's kind of an early adopter of the kind of advanced race-derived tech. So it had Aprilia's ARCP. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know what that is. I thought it was APRC. Aprilia.
Yeah. It's still not a word you can say.
Aprilia Racing Traction Control.
Potato. But
yeah,
point being, yeah, had a lot of advanced technology for that came out in the 2011 model year. So if you're looking to pick one up, excuse me, that came out in 2012. So first gen V4 started in 2011. All that tech came on the 2012 model. Something to keep in mind if these are bikes you're shopping around for. But that's got your wheelie control, launch control, traction control, ABS, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and those features were kind of not really common back then. I mean, we think of all that stuff now, you'd expect to see it on like a mid-grade CF motor. You're like, why does my CF motor have launch control, right? But for a long time, like traction control was kind of rare on bikes, and then like there was this explosion in the leader bike category in like the mid 2010s where everything started getting really advanced stuff. But the Aprilia seemingly did it kind of first. You know?
Yeah, did it kind of early, and again, just makes these bikes actually kind of rideable.
Yeah,
because 167 horsepower V4 naked bike, just in some average Joe's hand on the streets. It's gonna be a little tough beast to wield, but with those rider aids, keep it a little bit more usable.
So, Aprilia Tuono V4, a little bit above that $5,000 mark, but still pretty exotic. What's the next bike on the list?
You know how much we love Rockform phone cases and handlebar mounts around here, but did you know they have an entire lineup of products that can further take advantage of your existing case? Your Rockform phone case is literally the key that unlocks a whole ecosystem of other products aimed to make your life way easier. Rockform's cases have notoriously strong magnets, like really strong. So strong that if my phone is in my pocket, it will sometimes pull my kitchen cabinet doors open if I stand too close to the handles. That's literally happened. To further take advantage of the world's most magnetic case, you could get yourself the magnetic power bank. The power bank is so strong you can attach it to your phone and set it in your motorcycle tail bag or backpack and not have to worry about them losing contact and missing out on valuable charge time, which is a huge game changer for motorcyclists on the go. You can also take advantage of their car accessories like the wireless magnetic car vent mount that keeps your phone magnetically mounted to your car's air vent while it's charging up wirelessly. If you're a motorcyclist, skip the cheap accessories and get the best of the best that's going to stand the test of time with Rockform. They've been a long-time supporter of the channel for over 4 years now, and I truly stand by their brand and their products. I've used them daily all the time. If you want in on the Rockform action, click the link in the description and use the code YN25 to get 25% off your order. That's YN25 for 25% off of your order. Thank you to Rockform for supporting today's video. Now let's get back into it.
So up next on the list, and you might be a little bit surprised, this is a rare thing in a list video, but the most affordable exotic bike on the list today is actually a Ducati, the Ducati 748.
That's not something you hear very often.
Not something you hear about a Ducati being affordable. And I'm not talking affordable like, wow, going out to eat is so affordable since my wife left me after I bought that Ducati.
Everything's half off now.
Everything's half off. We got 748s going all day, $5,000-$6,000.
Oh
we
my
got some
God.
a little bit cheaper, but you know.
And in running order, really? Oh my God. This one is the cleanest one I've ever seen, to be honest. Wow.
Those of you who don't know, 748 is of, you know, the famous Ducati 916 era, just dominating world superbike. 748 is like the same Massimo Tamburini design cues as the 916. You know, the bike that's considered the most aesthetically beautiful, sensual, museum-worthy motorcycle ever created. To the layperson, looked maybe nearly identical, you know, to a non-rider,
Oh, for sure. I mean, the lines are still stunning. Like the exposed trellis frame, the undertail exhaust, single-sided swing arm, tri-spoke wheels, dry clutch. Even the way the rivets for the fairings, they sit in this perfect line. It's just a beautiful bike.
Yeah, Tamburini is a master of his craft, certainly.
This is an heirloom bike, I would say. You pick this up, you take care of it, you want to keep it forever, for sure.
Yeah.
Not like this guy who's selling it, which why would you do that? You just
Court fees.
He looks to have a pretty small garage, so maybe he really needed the space.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's in really clean spec. And the 748, man, like, what does it make? Like 90 horsepower?
Yeah,
something like that?
90 horsepower. They did have, in the later years, a 748R that was closer to 105.
That's a lot out of a tiny twin, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, just smaller engine, lighter mass, a little bit more nimble handling. And yeah, the two signature Ducati paint colors, ketchup or mustard. A lot of the, a fair warning, a lot of the mustard, i.e. the yellow bikes, are a little bit cheaper than the red. I think that just might be sort of like a historical, like Ducati collectors thing, as the reds are always worth a little bit more. But yeah, I think in either configuration, either color, sweet bike for sure. $5,000.
Yeah.
Pretty much all day.
Yeah, yesteryear, super sport. And consider this, folks. You can go get a Yamaha R7 out the door, 11 grand or whatever it is, right? 75 horsepower, little not so super sport thing. Foolish. Or you could spend 6 grand, get a mint Ducati 748, way better motorcycle, not nearly as reliable. That doesn't matter. You're gonna have a great time, and you're gonna be able to flex up on anybody at the bike meet. What's cooler, Logan? An R7 at a bike meet or a freaking 748?
748, no question. There's like few motorcycles I think that would garner attention like a 748 would. You know, 916 notwithstanding.
Yeah, yeah. Any gas station you pull up, like, oh, BMW S1000RR, real enthusiasts will look at that 748 all day.
Oh yeah, all day.
All day, man.
Very cool bike.
Yeah. So what's next?
All right, up next, we've got Buell 1125R. So maybe not the most exotic in terms of
I was gonna say, is that exotic?
I mean, I think when you look at it within the context of when it was made, the 1125 was made using the Rotax engine. So after they stopped using the lumpy Evo engines from the Sportster,
Thank
but
God.
like while still under Harley Davidson ownership. So it's sort of this like unique kind of hybrid of like place and time, and you know that place is America, which isn't the most exotic, but it's kind of cool, right? As far as
You know
sport
what's
bikes
funny
go.
though is for a lot of people overseas, an American bike or car is exotic,
That's
right?
true.
Like you see like a Dodge Challenger in the south of France, people are like, that's exotic, you know.
taking
Whereas
your
for
Hellcat
us,
to the
it's
bistro.
yeah, take your Hellcat to Nice, you know, like south of France, just cruising, right? But here it's like the most pedestrian thing in the world. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
absolutely.
It depends.
So when you take a look here, you'll see, you know, the classic Eric Buell design language, you know, mass centralization.
Yeah, oil and frame, perimeter brake. The face of this bike, tall and protruding in a way that is unnatural to the senses, I would say. That's the only.
Yeah, it's a little
that's my
jarring for sure.
It's my only gripe on this bike. It feels like the face should have been about 10 inches back and shorter. I don't know why he did it that way, but the passenger seat's got the cowl over it. I mean, it's got a lot of cool features on it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you got to give Eric Buell credit. You know, it's always something that's so fascinating, where it's like the limitations he was forced to contend with, like using Sportster engines, and then literally just engineering everything else around it to make an actually competitive motorcycle is pretty admirable.
You know, it's not too dissimilar from French cuisine, right? Scarcity breeds innovation. Whenever I had to, you got like bones and blood to come up with something, you know? Bones and blood on the EBR over here. I guess it's not an EBR, it's a Buell, because this was right before turn an EBR, that's right.
And what's interesting, these Buells too, not, you know, they don't demand super crazy prices by any stretch of the imagination. I think $5,000, maybe a little under $5,000. But what's interesting is when you compare them to you know, the modern Buell that's under new independent ownership, it's not too dissimilar of a motorcycle, right?
It's not that different.
And those cost, what, $20,000, $25,000 for a hammerhead? And I'm pretty sure
I don't know who bought a Hammerhead, if we can be honest. I don't know how many of those are selling, but your point stands. It's functionally the same.
Right, and so, yeah, for $4,500, $5,000 for, you know, got the Rotax engine that's, you know, fundamentally the same as kind of what they're rocking with now. And the new ones, it's still got the signature, Buell design features. If that's something you're interested in, $4,500, you know, not a bad buy. It is black, or the ones I've seen are black.
He couldn't find
black
a green
or
one,
white,
so
it's not green or yellow, but other
which
than that,
disqualifies
cool.
it from being exotic. But yes.
Sure.
All right, what's the last bike?
That is the last bike.
That was number 5.
Yeah.
Turns out it can't count. That's it. That's all you get for today's video. 5 exotic bikes for not a whole lot of money. I would say, folks, if you're interested in something like this, the sensible person in me would say, have this maybe as like a second motorcycle. You know, keep this in the garage. It may not run all the time, but when it does, you're gonna have a good day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sound advice.
Whip out your 748 or your Aprilia V4 or your Buell.
Your Benelli TNT 1300
Just
or
show
1130.
people that you have taste. You know, show up to bike night, be like, yeah, I got some taste. Like, yeah, maybe you got a weird, you know, adventure bike as your daily, but you got a freaking Buell in the garage. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool, for sure.
All right, boys. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for checking it out. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.